Hi everyone, this is Mindy Eggen and welcome back to my channel. I have another STAMPtember exclusive to share with you tonight. Tonight's collaboration stamp set is from Concord 9th called Festive Flower, and it is a beautiful layering stamp set. If you know me or if you don't, I am a huge fan of layering images. So this is the look at the large 6x8 stamp set, and what I thought was really cool about this was they numbered it. So the large flower has A1, A2, A3, and A4, and then you have C1, C2, and so on. Now on the back of the packaging, it's also going to give you examples of how everything is supposed to layer together. You can purchase the stamp set individually or in a bundle with the coordinating die. Now, since this is a large floral image and it is a very solid image, I thought it would be best to dig out my Waffle Flower grip mat. So I placed that in my Misti. I removed the foam insert and everything. I wiped it down with a stamp chamois to clean it, and then just used my hand to dry it off. Now I'm taking a piece of white cardstock from Concord 9th, and I'm going to place that large image there onto the cardstock. Don't push down with the door of your Misti too hard because it's brand new, so it really likes to stick to the paper. I did rip my paper just a little bit, but I don't think you'll be able to notice once I start stamping. Now with this type of image, you want to condition it very well. I wiped it with my stamp chamois, and I also wiped it with my hand. Now, based on the packaging example, there's going to be two different colors that I will need for the image. There's going to be a light color and a dark color. So I picked out Poppy and Cranberry from the Concord 9th ink line. All of the inks I'll be using today are going to be from Concord 9th, and I'm going to ink that up really well and then stamp this down. Now, I was super impressed because I conditioned it and because Concord 9th's inks and cardstock are amazing. It stamped perfectly on the first try. So I like to remove my cardstock using my palette knife, and I actually went through and stamped out about 3 or 4 more of these large flowers just in case I messed up anywhere. Now I'm taking that second layer of the image. I lined it up, and you do need to take your time, really get your head in and over the image to get a good look at it. And then I'm inking this up with cranberry ink, and I'm going to stamp that down. So after I applied some pressure and opened the door of the Misti, I found that it stamped really well, again on the first try. I seem to have lined it up perfectly, so I'm going to go through and stamp the rest of my panels. Now we have the centerpiece for the flower. So there's 2 layers for this. Once again, I conditioned it with my finger, and now this first layer I'm going to ink up in Buttercup ink, and the second layer I'm going to ink up in Stardust ink. I left everything in place and just repeated those colors on my other panels, and now I'm moving on to the leaves. For this larger leaf, the more solid image is always going to be your base color, and that one I'm going to be using Parsley. I just turned my cardstock so I could get 2 leaves on one panel that are cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Now for this leaf, we do have another layer. So I picked out a darker green. This one is going to be Evergreen. I was a little nervous that it would be too dark, but I think it looks really nice. So I flipped my panel again and stamped it again on the second one that I had. Now I'm moving on to this sprig. Now this sprig is going to have some berries on it. The first layer of this sprig, I stamped in, which one's the lighter color? I did artichoke and avocado. So I did the base layer in the lighter green and that additional layer in the darker green. Now for the berries, I went back to my reds. So for the main layer, I did Poppy. And then this second layer I did in Cranberry. I will say for those smaller images, it is a lot easier to stamp those if you have an ink cube versus a full-size ink pad. Now after I have everything cut out, I had already started kind of putting my card together. There is just tape runner behind my leaves and that kind of holly branch or that berry branch. And I arranged them in that top corner. Now the flower, I'm going to add just some foam adhesive to the back of it to pop it up. So I was still a little undetermined quite yet what I wanted to do, so I hadn't stamped my sentiment yet, and I'm not going to attach that flower yet. I'm bringing that back over to my Misti, turning the flower in the direction I want it, and then I can bring my sentiment in and stamp that down. I'm trying to do this ahead of time before I add any dimension because typically sentiments are like my absolute last thought of the card. Now that I have the sentiment down, I removed the backing of all of those foam pieces and attached my flower. So when I was working with my card base, which I'm going to use, I believe this is wheat cardstock from Concord 9th, I wanted more of a border. So I brought this over to my paper trimmer and I'm going to trim this down. I think I end up with, I think it's like 3.5 by maybe 4 3/4, something like that. So I went ahead and added tape runner to the back of that. I could add it to that card panel I created out of wheat cardstock, and I'm calling it good. I thought about embellishments, but I really wanted that beautiful flower to be my focal point, and I think it's just perfect the way it is. I really enjoyed this image, and I really hope that Concord 9th comes out with more of these or similar to these in their regular line. Keep in mind, this particular stamp set is exclusive to Simon Says Stamp and only available while supplies last. I will have all of my supplies listed down below in the video description and over on my blog as well. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you again very soon with another video.